And we're gonna open up the Water Sewer Commissioners meeting. It's August 19th, 2021. And it's 5:05. President is Keith Waniaz, Bob Sullivan, Bob Josie. Alright, do you wanna skip through the,
Yeah,
We don't have meeting minutes, so
okay.
I'm good on that.
You wanna skip through
we'll
your
skip the
report for now?
reports and
Yeah,
take
get
care of the
these
people that are
out.
here.
Alright. New improvement. Project, okay.
So 54 main
Gonna
charge,
take-
I think, is the first one.
Which one?
54 main charge.
50 mile charge
Is
road,
that the
okay.
first one?
I've actually got an old agenda because I didn't have the updated one, so either one.
Take 54 man jog road.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright. Mac, Deb, you wanna come up?
Sure. Hi there.
Who's doing? He's camera shy.
Deb Mark, Dunleavy from 43 Manchog regarding 54 Manchog. So you might be aware we purchased this property last year, and it was on a private well and septic. And we're upgrading and actually putting two houses on that property, and actually the well with the existing house wasn't going to be able to be used, so we were going to hook up to water, and the pipes needed improvement in order to service the property. So we have done that, and we're asking at this point if the commission could give us consideration in waiving the hookup fee for the water, since we've improved the pipes going down to the property, and we'll be tying in two properties instead of using the well.
And also, there were two houses prior to it that we upgraded the water pipe for them as well.
So can you describe what the upgrade was?
Bob might know better than me that going down was a smaller pipe, so we enlarged it, which helped out the houses. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know if you
it's-
can-
It's partially upgraded.
Yeah, that's what we were talking
So there was
about.
it looks like they probably had one service going down there at one point, because it was a service line coming in off of Manchog down that, I don't know if that's an actual road or something going down there now.
It's part of Manchog Road, but it kind of goes off to the side.
The main charge road spur.
Yes, exactly.
So the way it looked like, it was a 1-inch copper service came in, and there was a valve, like a curb stop shut off valve. And then it went over, so it went to one house, and then there was another shut off valve teed off of that going over to the second house. So it seemed like 50 was probably tied in first, and then they just kind of tapped off of that to go over to 52. So there was no shut off for 50, except if you shut off 50, you had to shut off both. To shut off 52, there was a shut off for that. So they cut back to before the first one. They teed it there so that it was a 1-inch service line. We went over with 3/4 to the first one. Then we increased it to 2-inch with the theory that it would be looped back into Manchog. But it's only a 2-inch going down, but that whole 2-inch is still fed from the 1-inch. So with the additional property, I'm not sure that you would have enough flow for the fourth house, because you've essentially got 3 houses running off of a 1-inch. And I know we upgraded the 2-inch in the road, or in that street driveway, whatever, the spur. But I think at this point it's not really upgraded, because you're still using a 1-inch service feeding it.
Okay.
But it's set up to have it corrected, I guess you could say. If you loop it back in, because if anything breaks along that way, everybody's out of water.
So if there's ever a fourth house on that line, it would have to be looped back over to.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't know if you can get an engineer to claim otherwise, but
So that 2-inch line that they ran down to the 2 new houses,
well, there's
Just
only
picks
one
up
right
as
now.
one.
I think
Right now.
the intent is to have a second one in the future, but did they submit any plans for that to move forward, or
No, it's just,
so right now it's still just the one?
yes.
It doesn't seem like there's been an upgrade really. I mean, just extended from a 1-inch line to a 2-inch to possibly feed 2 houses.
My interpretation was it needed to be done in order to get this house on water, the one that is ready. But
Well, you had to run the line down, but you would have had to go to the main, but this was a quicker, shorter route to go this way. But in order to go beyond that, it's gonna have to kind of loop back around so that it has a supply greater than a 1-inch service, because essentially you're trying to feed 4 houses off of a 1-inch service line.
Basically, that's what it is. Because when you go to 2, that's just going to give you a little more volume to
Well, the 2-inch would give
get there
you
2 houses.
plenty of volume for 4 houses, but
But it's still only being fed by a 1-inch.
right now it's
2.
only a 1-inch. Yeah.
Yeah, versus the other way, if you had to go to the main, I think the main's across the street, isn't it? So you'd have to open the road.
It is. Yeah.
It's state highway.
The main's on the other side of the road.
It's on the opposite side. How close to the house across the street has that horseshoe driveway?
Yeah.
How close to the second part of that driveway? Is that like right across from where the little road comes back up? off the
Basically.
spur? Because I'm thinking that if you have to connect that you might be able to do a horizontal bore.
Right underneath to the secondary house.
Yeah, and you just dig up on the other side of the road, so you wouldn't be digging up the state highway, because that turns into all kinds of headaches.
Yeah.
But I know it goes off the road over there, because the pipe, when it goes past that, it goes off that side of the road, down under the river, and then back up onto the road. So I'm just thinking if
There is water on the other side of the river?
yeah,
Yeah, there's water at the cemetery.
there's a fire hydrant across the street,
Yeah.
down a little from the cemetery.
No, it goes over to St. Dennis's, yeah.
And then they ran a little 1.5 or 2-inch line down to feed the, what's his name's house there?
Mhm.
Mitarosic, yeah. So that's what's there.
So there's really no upgrading done. It was just a new service put in
Um,
to the 2 houses. Or one or
well, it's
possibly
a 1 right
second.
now, yeah. I mean, we corrected the valve situation so that each house had the shut off instead of one not being able to be shut off, and you shut that first one off, it shuts off everybody. But so that situation was corrected.
meaning the other house is further up the,
Yeah,
not 54.
correct.
Well, I hate to say it, but it doesn't sound like it's an upgrade to me. It's just a service.
Yeah, not at this point.
I mean, if they turn around and looped it
Yeah.
in the future.
I don't know, do you have any other details about what was
No.
done?
No, I just know it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it was,
So it's just
substantial
looking for some
amount.
relief, that's all.
right.
Mm.
That's where we helped the other 2 houses out.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they had a 1-inch service to begin with. And that'd be sufficient for, it's almost not really sufficient for 2 houses, but
Yeah.
can we reconsider this when they put the second house in?
Do you know when the plan is to
No, I haven't even gotten to that
subdivide
part
that
yet.
well?
I mean, if they do that and then loop it, well, that'd be a different story because
Yeah,
we'd
so-
have water
Yes.
feeding both ways to
Both ways.
that
Yeah.
property.
And that would help out those 2 houses as well. So maybe when that extension continues,
Come
maybe
back.
for the second one we can, so this one we probably can't do that, but maybe the second one is, we can reconsider it at that one.
Alright,
Okay,
All right?
all right,
never hurts to ask.
Okay.
Hey,
No, don't.
all right.
Yeah, you don't get what you don't ask for, right?
No,
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
All right,
Okay, you're
awesome.
welcome.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You wanna take less?
Yeah.
All right.
What a plan, yeah.
I'll throw that over there.
Binder.
So I'm working on a preliminary subdivision plan for up on Southwest Main. Southwest Main is here. There's water in the street, and what I'm working on is submitting a flexible development plan to bring water into the subdivision, about 1,000 feet to 1,100 feet, which is shown in the blue line. I've already talked to Mr. Sullivan about 2 fire hydrants shown in the red Fs. What I'd proposing is that there's a back trail that I'm showing here in green, that is roughly, I'm gonna look to cut 5 acres out of the land and propose to do this as a town / water department municipal parcel to be able to bring water on Route 16, which is shown on the diagonal out here going out, brings us water on Route 16. It also opens the door to loop the water system if I bring it in off of Southwest Main in here to also tie in the future into where you have water on Churchill, shown in this map here. So I can bring the water in and then it can loop into Churchill as well as onto 16. What I would be just looking to do, because I've got the expense of running the water line, just talking rough numbers, it's about a $200,000 expense to run the water line that distance, and it's tying into 6-inch, Bob, I think it is, 8-inch?
8-inch.
8-inch main. So running an 8-inch line all the way through. So the town's benefit, as well as the water department, as well as the future of the town, is being able to have the loop system with Route 16 for future water, as well as onto Churchill. So we create a loop by me donating the green area with the designated, probably for a future pumping station or even water tower. Creates a lot of flexibility and opportunities for the town in the future. It's roughly going to be about 5 acres. Is what I would be looking to donate to the municipality.
Route 16 is where? Up here?
Yep, right where the bend is.
Way up there.
Yep.
How far up from?
How far up?
Because we
Route
ended the
16
duplex.
is that?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a ways from the water line still, but
It's
we did secure an easement on that lot 10 before that lot got auctioned off.
correct.
That runs along this property line and this property line.
That's the blue dotted line right now,
Yeah.
right here.
So the easement runs along this property line and this property
Yeah.
line. So
Established. Yeah.
this easement is in place.
Oh, this easement is in place
Correct.
too?
Yes.
Yeah, going
so
across
right
the back property line
Yep.
and the side property line.
Yep.
And that was
Yep.
that was put into place with the idea that if we ran water down Route 16, we would want to, you know, this project wasn't in place yet, but this was to get us to the ability
Churchill.
to
Yep.
get to
And what's-
Churchill.
Is this Churchill?
Churchill's right over here.
Yep.
Oh, so this comes over and into Churchill already?
Correct.
Well, it comes to the property that abuts the last house on Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Churchill runs down.
So this property and this
Oh,
property
so
are on Churchill.
It runs
Comes
this way.
comes
They'll be
parallel to this.
Yeah.
So
It's probably-
Churchill comes down right over here, and there's a little circle. at the end
Oh,
of
okay.
this.
Yeah. If you want to look at the map there, this is probably a easy way. There's the easement.
Yeah.
The water line's this way, and I'd be bringing the water line in this way. Okay? These run parallel. So what I'm proposing, this is going to run parallel with Churchill, and then I'd be doing this spot here, which is in green. That's what I'm proposing.
Now, how far up 16 does that? This easement
Right
go?
now, it
80.
only goes to all the duplexes there.
Correct.
The line
That's
only,
as far as it
that's
goes?
as far,
Yeah.
no, the water line only runs to the duplexes.
Correct. Which is probably roughly number 16.
All right, then from the duplexes, how far down 16 is that?
To get to there,
You're there. That's Is it 80? 86? Then the house number would be 86.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah, 86.
Well, give me a second. I'll pull it up on the town GIS and.
Yep.
Actually, I don't know if that's the water map right there or not.
Oh, that was so.
So this is.
Oh, he's got
So we're right here. So right here is where the water line is.
Mm-hmm.
Now it ends here.
That-
This is Churchill. This is the lot that he's talking about subdividing.
Yeah.
And this would be the lot that we have the easement on now.
So how far is that from there to
Yes,
there?
Um,
Half a mile, a mile?
probably
2,000.
less than that. Yeah. Yeah, 2,000 feet. So
Yeah. Just about 2,000 feet.
yeah, so less than a half mile. No, less than a half a mile.
I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah.
Just tells you 2,000 feet. Doesn't tell you what scale you're using.
Yeah.
There we go. 50. So to get to the lot that we're at. Yeah, about 2,600 feet.
600?
2,600.
26.
Yeah.
So they end at the duplex, I'm trying to picture it now. From the duplex, then everybody, all the new houses on that have wells.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all wells.
Yes.
They're all wells.
They're all wells and they would just put in.
Yeah.
Those three that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they called. I was actually trying to.
Now, how much further beyond that?
It's because that's about 200 feet, so it's about another about 2,200 feet.
2,400.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
There's really nothing that can be built in that area then, because it's all built up.
there's some open parcels in
I don't
there.
know what there is for landlord.
Yeah, no, there's open parcels in there. There's a 14-acre parcel that used to be the Virginia Murlocs parcel. There's the quite a few parcels that are all on the left side as you're driving to Webster. That's all open.
Yeah, there's all the old Dudley property.
Correct. The old Dudley property, and then there's past there is, you know,
I don't know what kind of restrictions though they have in that estate and everything, you know,
yeah.
for Dudleys and everything.
That's all 2 acres owned up there, isn't it?
For now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this opens the door for like future because you know everything's gonna remain as you get progressive zoning, you start moving out. I mean, this used to all be zone less 1.5 acres at the time, and then they switched it to 2 acres. So. But there's commercial zoning. This is RC2, so the commercial zoning is only an acre. So all of this land here, as well as the portion of mine which touches in here, that's all 1 acre zoning for commercial along Route 16.
It's all commercial?
RC2. It's zone commercial. So you can have a 2 acre, because one of the marijuana shops that was being proposed is just past here, and they cut it off and it was 1 acre for commercial. That was, what's his name? Sherry's property that he cut off and left on Route 16 for, but for commercial, because it's all RC. If you, I don't know, you guys don't have the zoning.
I don't have
map.
a zoning map.
Yeah, but it's all the brown color, the zoning, which is RC2. It goes all the way up to the sawmill. So from the sawmill, even past the sawmill, from there down to Route 16, it's all RC2, which is the 1 acre for commercial zoning.
I thought that was all residential, it's not?
It's residential / commercial. And the commercial piece of it, when you go into commercial, you're allowed to build on 1 acre. You go, yeah, there it is.
I really can't foresee any
Yeah,
commercial up there,
give me a
but
second for.
who knows?
Yeah, it's the dark brown.
This part here.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So you got village residential.
Yeah, so your village residential here, so that's all of, like the Dudley parcel.
That's half acre. Half acre.
So is it half acres?
Half acre in village residential. You're half acre zone with commercial. You have the ability to do commercial on that property as well as residential. Still on the half acre. When you go to the brown, which is RC2, you can do residential on 2 acres or commercial on 1 acre. So there's more of a change of something being turned over here because it is then commercial. And you get the traffic flow of Route 16.
So that's your 800 foot right there.
Yep. Correct.
Oh, so from here down is commercial?
Correct.
Hmm. That's weird, zone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the way they cut it back in the day.
So then that green section, that's what I was telling you about earlier.
Correct.
This green area
Mm-hmm.
is where we have for part of the Aquifer Protection District for potentially a source. So,
That's up by the sawmill, isn't it?
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so-
remember that
the
was
sawmill property is
Right
right
there.
here.
one of our main sources of water.
Yep.
Yeah, so they looked at this as potentially a source.
Mhm.
You know, that's what I've been saying to you guys is that those areas that we've identified as potential sources, we need to start investigating to see if they would be a viable source. Because if we go throw some test wells in here and it's not a viable source, take it out of the aquifer protection.
Yeah.
Because there's no need to protect it and stop
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever if we can't use it as a source. You know, it's kind of like what we did over here by the mill. We took that out because we know it's not a viable source
Right.
of water.
Mhm.
There's a couple other spots in town that it's like, all right,
Yeah.
let's go investigate. You know, there's another one here,
Correct.
and some more down here,
Yeah.
and then up here.
So yeah, this property here is outside the aquifer. The aquifer goes this way, cuts through. So that's the aquifer, goes along here. Doesn't touch into my property whatsoever. What I'm just proposing is because I'm going to bring this in, the expense of that line, by granting this, I was just seeking the relief of the tie-in fees in exchange. You know, I mean, it's 5 acres of land to be able to open this up to one, loop the system, future for pumping or even a water tower. And you're on Route 16 within.
If that's a potential well, we'd have to buy that property and stuff.
Oh yeah, but you would just try to get a temporary easement to go in and drill some test wells to see if it's a viable source. Then if it's a viable source, yeah, we would either buy it from them or take it by eminent domain, whichever method is needed.
One's a little more.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
The domain doesn't.
The first one's a lot easier.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that depends on who owns it.
Yeah. A number of folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, right now, forget about an easement, get rid of doing test wells, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's a struggle. Yeah. And across the street from here is the what do they call that pond over here?
Yeah.
Crystal Lake is across the street over here, and then down the street over here is down this road is then Bad Luck.
That's
So you're in between two
Morse
different
Pond,
water sources.
isn't it?
Yeah, Moss Pond, Crystal Lake, they call
Morse
it.
Pond, yeah.
Yep. So you're in between two water sources there.
I really can't foresee any commercial development up in that residential area, but you never know.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we never know what the future is, right? We don't want to.
No. Plus everything up there is a 200-foot frontage too.
It's zoned for 200, but majority of those house lots are all non-conforming
Yeah,
because they used to be
but-
150.
From now on, I mean, it's still 200.
Correct. But not when they trigger commercial. Commercial, then they'd
No.
be 100 feet. Yeah.
We already have this easement in
Yeah.
this one.
Have you done any test wells to see if you got any water up there?
I haven't done any test wells up there. I don't want to get too far up there with
Yeah.
everything. Because if you know, if the board's not interested in doing this, then I'll close the loop on it, and then I'll create the open space, and then I'll end up restricting the open space out. And then I'll probably bring it closer, and then my line won't be as much for the expense. So it's just the infrastructure of this is, you know, roughly probably about $200,000 plus to put the water line in to service these homes, and then the town gets the benefit of that, and without any expense. And then the cost of if the town was to acquire 5 acres, you know what I mean, for the purpose of all this, you know, there's nothing out of pocket for the town into interest. So that's why I'm proposing it.
You know what the elevation is here?
I can get an elevation map out there and stuff like that. It's actually it goes from high to low. It drops. Doesn't drop off, but
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a gully down.
gully, yeah.
Gully down here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure elevation wise. I don't know that I would see us putting a storage tank or
No,
There's a low spot here.
anything else.
it's flat. It flattens off because
Down here on 16, this is a big gully.
Yeah, all those
Like
houses
this lot,
are
this lot is all.
Yeah.
Just when you go down 16, look, all
Mhm.
those houses are down
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
on that
Well,
side.
There's lot 9 and 10. 10 is the one that the town just auctioned off.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, there's no houses on it because
Mhm.
of the terrain. So, but I'm just trying to figure elevation wise if I could see if we would need it for a
Yeah. I mean, this is a
water tank or anything like that.
Yep.
I mean, the church street tank, I think, sits higher than this.
It's a year lot. So you're talking back here.
One of the problems I have, there's all brand new houses down there. Nobody's ever had a problem with their well. That's,
Oh,
610, 620.
you know, it's not gonna be feasible to run a main down there at all.
yeah, not where it's a cost benefit.
We're not gonna pick anything up, half a dozen houses, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, well, we're gonna spend $1 million to run a line down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it turns over, like you look at where Webster was, where there was houses down on Main Street, and they buy 2 properties and tear it out and then put in, what was it, the auto zone and stuff like that. So you never know when things are zoned commercial and then they got the traffic that flows
I
through.
think that'd be fought pretty hard
So
Yeah.
to
yeah.
get commercial up there.
No. But I'm saying there's already commercial on Route 16.
Yeah.
So you
No,
start
I mean,
seeing-
on 16, it'd be pretty difficult to put commercial in on that,
Mhm.
in that area, I would think.
They've already proposed it. Proposed the just past here before the sawmill. They proposed doing a pot retail store.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you've already got 2 businesses already on Route 16 now, between the sawmill and the Flash and Light. You already got 2 businesses on there.
What's on there now?
There's
Kennel?
the kennel
dog
place,
kennel?
and then there's another shop
Oh, the
in
kennel,
there.
yeah, but that's not, I mean, yeah, it's commercial,
Yeah,
but
and there's another shop in there. Guy's got a sign posted. Yeah. And then what's his name used to run out of there too, commercial wise. The people that just bought Murlock's property, they're running commercial.
So it's 60 feet lower here than it is at the Church Street tank.
Mhm.
this is 60 feet lower than the Church Street tank?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it wouldn't really be feasible to put a tank up there because you'd have to put a
that wouldn't be feasible at all.
it'd have to be 100 plus feet tall.
Taller.
Yeah, and you'd have to get into.
Mm.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Special
Just
permitting.
just for the loop back system as well. I mean that it just gives options. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know.
60 feet difference.
In elevation.
Oh, shit. No,
So that gives you.
that wouldn't be feasible at all. We'd have to have a tank there 200 feet high.
Yeah.
The blinking light for the planes.
Yeah.
Planes.
So the other problem is pressure-wise, you won't have a lot of pressure right there.
Mm.
Well, 60. Let me figure that. I forgot something.
I forgot something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's even about 38 psi there. At the
38?
Low, at the low point of the tank would be 38, so
Mhm.
38 to 43 feet, or 43 psi. So that's plenty for your residential services.
More than Martin Road.
Mm-hmm. More than Martin Road?
38 psi would be feeding this the way it is now.
And when the tank's at its lowest point, he'd be at 38 psi, up to I don't know, 40, 42 or so.
I'm talking about fresh.
That's when I first ran. I forgot to factor in this, the height of the tank.
Yep.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
without the height of the tank, you would have been at 25 psi. That's too low. So
Oh, and then I mean, what's just the potential of just even looping into Churchill as well as in 16? I mean, that's
yeah, I mean, I would want to make sure we could get that. I would, I would kind of require that if you were going to run water in here, is to get at minimum an easement, because now we'd have a dead end, a dead end, and a dead end.
Mhm.
It's all dead ends. I mean, this entire road is a dead end.
Mm.
But now you've got all these dead ends off of a dead end. So, so you really want to at least get that looped if we don't ever go down there, down 60 with the main.
Yep.
Yeah, that only goes up a little ways further beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
I forget.
Yeah, and it goes.
And Betty Ann's the last one.
Didn't we have a pipe up there flushing that one time?
We used, yeah, when I was on, there was
Oh,
Is that-
yeah, but we changed that all to
that
duct
all
line.
got changed to duct,
Okay,
because
yeah.
that was AC pipe to a
Well,
dead
not
end.
all of it. For some reason, you guys started a camp meeting.
Well,
Really?
But I've got that in my plans that I was going over today, trying to.
Yeah, we had that
so
transit
that's
pipe.
gotta be a short run of that AC pipe then.
It's not AC, it's cast.
Oh, it's cast?
Yeah, it's old unlined cast, so you probably had a lot of tuberculation in there, which is why you guys ran a flushing line off of
Yeah.
it.
Well, I thought it was that because it was AC pipe.
There is some AC, but I know it's cast as you come down the hill, as you just get on to Southwest,
Yeah.
as you're coming down, because we had two breaks there, they were both cast. St. Pierre, is that the last house? St. Pierre, is he the last one on the water?
Oh, might be just past. Yeah, might be just past Betty Ann's. Yeah, he's across the street probably.
Yeah, that would be where that
Yeah.
culvert is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, she's the last one on the other side. Alright,
So-
so,
Yeah, I mean, I just think this gives the towns options. That's the big thing, for even looping or whatever else. I mean, it's 5 acres of land, and I think the tie-in. What's the tie-in fees for the water? 2,500.
2,500.
Yeah, so you got $30,000 in tie-in fees versus 5 acres of land, plus the infrastructure, bringing the water line in to service the houses. So.
But that 60-foot height difference, that's
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not gonna probably work
it's going to
for
be wind up useless to us. I hate to say
minus
it.
one.
Minus one?
Hmm?
Still,
How come it's minus one?
because one won't be a floatable unit.
Oh.
Because the flex pearls. So.
What's it going to cost to run 2,600 feet for us?
2,600. You gotta go under a. Is that two drainage or
One.
brook crossings or just one? Because that was the concern with
One.
those people that just put those houses in. There's that little crossing that you gotta get there. But there's one further down, isn't
Farther
it?
past.
Yeah, so two.
Yeah. But one of them I think is, yeah. The second one was redone. The second one was all redone because when they did the highway over, when they redid all the pavement, they did actually good job on it.
The culvert, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
so culverts
we
aren't-
have to go past that with water though,
Correct.
that's what I'm saying, so we would have to,
I don't think they're gonna go on it. They put that other one way low.
We have
Is
two
it?
crossings?
Yeah.
well, if you can
Do
go
it.
over that culvert, then that's,
Yeah.
makes it easier, but
Yeah.
a little over $500,000.
Yeah.
We're over $500,000 running up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we would,
Yeah.
No. I mean, we're not,
yeah. And it's not a tank, so.
pick up a few houses here and there.
Yeah,
And if even commercial, like, you know,
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not gonna have a big water use.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think, and we could request the easement anyway to get that loop.
I would require that if you're gonna run
Yeah.
a line.
Yeah.
Is there any lots that can put a big building?
Oh, and that
on?
wouldn't be,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be including the tie-in then, through the easement.
No,
that would
yeah,
be-
no, that's
No.
not
that-
counting.
That's not counting that,
No.
it's just the road.
Any big lots? Bob, what was your question? Any big lots with?
Any potential big commercial buildings
Mm-hmm.
that you could, that would require a sprinkler system?
Yeah, you've got to look at Murlock's property. That's 14.5 acres. You've got Dudley's property that's on there, and then you've got
Is Murlock's the one that they just built the house in the back?
yeah, that's still he's in the back, but he opens up. He's way in the back, but he still has 12 acres there undeveloped, right in the front.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got Pollock's land. That's I think 10 acres plus, and then you've got Dudley's, and I think there's another one.
Well, Dudley's isn't in the
This
commercial, right?
it is. It is. There's three. There's two of them in a row, and there's Kibby's.
Right.
Yeah, there's three of them there. There's Dudley, and Kibby, and they're all fields right now. Nothing on them. So.
So it's only the third lot that's really in the commercial.
Well,
It cuts through that one?
well, VR, you're allowed commercial in there too.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no restriction on VR. So you can do residential or commercial, and keep to 20,000 square feet. But when you go RC2, then you're down to 1 acre lots.
1 acre, yeah.
So it's going to be more attractive for those things.
And unfortunately, I just don't see a benefit to doing that.
No, unfortunately, that 60-foot difference in height is,
Yeah.
you know, thing we're gonna spend $500,000 to run up and probably take $1,000 a year
Yeah.
water bill, you know,
Yeah,
it's not, doesn't make sense.
No.
We'll never be able to pay it off. Plus the fact that to put a tank up here after.
Yeah, it's not the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of the tank or boosters or whatever, you know what I mean? But also to loop the system, just because you don't know in the future, you know? You know.
Yeah, I think a booster would go somewhere more around the common to boost it for everywhere down there.
What was that?
About that common?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Put a booster at the bottom of the depot for Latin. Sorry,
That,
10 years of harassing you about my water
You'd
pressure.
have to have a booster veteran memorial thing there at the little common there
Common
before
there?
you go up Martin.
yeah. So.
And these are all single family.
Yeah, that was the other thing we were looking at, was just because of the cost of the infrastructure was either go with this proposal or look into expanding the cluster. And because the cost of the line, the expense of bringing a water line in. So there's there's a big expense there. So trying to before you even get out of the road, you're at $20,000 into before you step onto the property because of the cost of the water line. So if you look at 12 wells, 12 wells would be 144,000 versus that you're over 200,000 for running this line. So there's, what's the benefit of those?
Yeah, well, wait a minute now.
Well,
How much money did Dickie and them spend drilling wells? There's no water up there. That's why that water line was run up.
I don't think.
Some of those wells were 300 or 400 feet deep and there's still nothing.
Yeah, I don't think they fracked back then. That was the big thing too. I think they're fracking.
So I think they fracked them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember back now. It's
Yeah.
going way back.
But there's no fire protection with wells either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that water line was run up there because there's no water up in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll talk to Dickie because I don't know if
I'm
they
thinking back.
I talked to one of the guys that drilled the well back then, and he told me that they didn't frack. They just drilled, and they're like, oh, nothing, and then they just drilled. There was no frack, and I think that was done in, which I was kind of surprised at, but those houses were done in the 70s, in the early 80s, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't push it as the technology's come along with fracking and stuff like that. So I know I drilled in the reservoir.
No, I believe that's why the water was run up there. They fracked, they did everything.
Yeah.
You could only get a gallon a minute if that. Right. You're going back 40 some odd years,
It's like yesterday for you.
Yeah.
So
Last
just
week.
Said, me and Keith were talking about something, and I said, oh, that was just a couple of years ago. It's now that might be 6, and they got getting like Josie.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
Oh, that was a couple months ago, wasn't it? 2014.
So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that's what ever happened. Run the water up there. There isn't enough commercial land, even if they went commercial land.
Like it's
Commercial,
the
they got a couple of toilets and that's about it.
Yeah.
The only way I
Built
see it
on
is
the-
if they put a source in over by Cedar Street.
They would probably build up to what, 7,000 square feet, so you don't need sprinkler.
7,500. Keep it on the 7,500.
7,500
Square feet required.
inside
Yeah,
building.
So many square feet, you don't have to.
Yeah, wasn't there another source further up?
That's why a lot of these
Wasn't
buildings, they're putting in, they're keeping them under that.
that
Yeah.
marked also? I thought there was another source up.
No, I think it's down.
Was it down?
Yeah. So that's right there. So that big section down there is the other,
Yeah.
which is down. Where was that? That's down South Street.
Yeah.
You have any other questions, Keith?
No, I'm good.
No,
I'm
no,
good.
it just,
Yeah.
it's not feasible at all for us to consider it. I hate to say it, but,
No.
we
Yeah.
can't.
Fair enough. Well, that's why I want to have the discussion, and maybe before we get into revising the plan,
Mhm.
so we can go from there. So make changes and go from there. So that's all. So I appreciate your time.
All right,
Yeah.
no
Cool.
problem.
Thank you.
Sorry we can't help you out, but
Thanks for coming in.
want these back, you
Sure.
want us to keep a copy of?
Oh,
Yeah.
because they're still a draft.
Yeah.
I want to be
Get everybody wound up?
wound up.
All right, thanks, Les.
All right. Okay, we have no minutes, project upgrade,
Update.
update, excuse me, upgrade, update.
Alright, so a couple things are more or less happening today and this week. We put in, the application's going in for an asset management grant.
Mhm.
So we're gonna try to get the sewer system approved for an asset management plan, which is essentially like the 20-year master plan that you did on the water side, but it'll be on the sewer side.
Mhm.
And that will kind of see what we have for assets on the sewer side between the collection system, the pump stations, the treatment plant, basically everything involved in the sewer plant. Map it all out. It will identify the age, the life expectancy, kind of steer us towards what upgrades need to happen over the next 10 to 20 years. So the grant works, if we get approved, it's they say up to $150,000. 60% would be grant through the state. The other 40% would be on the town. And of that 40%, 50% of that can be in-kind services. So it would basically be like 10 different people, or maybe more, but we identified 10 that would be working on the project, that we could directly correlate kind of their hourly rate towards that. So it's basically 20% towards that. So I think the numbers we ran, I want to say it was in the 120 something thousand range that it was going to cost for the plan. So of that, it would be like 50,000, just over 50,000 would be the match, and half of that, so 25,000 something, it would cost us to get this plan done. And the master plan in the sewer is something that I think I've been putting in with capital committee for
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a
since
long
I
time.
started. We've been trying to get that passed through. So if we can get it through this grant, it only costs 20-something thousand instead of 130, 140,000 that we planned. So we just, actually I still have one more email to send before I leave tonight to get that stuff finalized to submit. We also put together the plan for upgrading the water main from Main Street. So the plan and what we're putting in through SRF is basically from Franklin Street, all of Main, all the way down to where you guys started. To get rid of that cast and stuff from there. So
Where is that?
this is Camp Meeting down here. So Churchill's here.
Oh, you're talking about going, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be
That main line.
this main trunk line that it's the artery of the whole town here for the water system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, so we're talking about replacing that whole one. That's
Yeah.
the one that keeps.
yeah, we've had I think 11 breaks on
Right,
there.
yeah.
So from here to here, and then this loop here, finish this loop, and replace all this cast.
Mm-hmm.
Basically everything 12-inch. So it would, for one, I mean, luckily we went about installing some alarms and control systems in the booster station, primarily because of the concern of if we have a break anywhere on there that's a significant break.
Right.
I mean, DEP made us switch over the booster station to work automatically. We used to run it manually. Every
Right.
day we'd go in
Yes.
there and see where we were, determine if we would turn it on or not.
Yeah.
And we would run it manually during the day while we were here to top it off. But when they made us go to automatic, now the pumps come on if it drops below a certain pressure.
Right.
So if we have a break on that line, it's going to drain the Church Street tank, which is also going to tell the booster station to turn on, and we're going to drain all of Franklin Street. So the entire town could be without water in a matter of an hour and a half or
Yeah.
something, just in the time it takes to respond to try to
Mm-hmm.
shut valves down. And if it's the middle of winter and things are frozen up, we're out there with sledgehammers trying to get valve boxes open. So we could literally lose water for the entire town based on that one line. So we did do some upgrades on the alarm system at that booster station so that we can remotely shut the pumps off. So if we get a low pressure alarm, we'll get an alarm that calls and we can check on our phone and shut that station down so we don't drain the Franklin Street tank. It'll still drain some through gravity, but we won't have, 1,000 gallon a minute
Right.
worth of pumps pumping at the same time. So we have that in place, but it's still a big liability sitting there. That if you have that break, you could still run the risk of draining both tanks, depending on what we can shut down for valves or not. So, so we did put in for SRF money for that in hopes that, with all the news and everything claiming all the infrastructure, they're trying to put all these billions of dollars or trillions of dollars towards infrastructure upgrades. And almost every time there's been grant money available, they've always distributed it through the SRF program. So unless you had an SRF application in or approved through the SRF, you're not eligible for the
Right.
for the grant. So I want to get the application in for that. So in the event that we do get some grant opportunities, we'll be able to take advantage of it and get one of the main arteries. I mean, I brought that up a couple years ago that that kind of took over as priority for me as what needs to be replaced based on the amount of breaks we've had, the severity of some of the breaks. The last one we had on Main Street was a linear crack instead of a circle break. Often on the cast irons you get the circle breaks, but some of that stuff is getting older and worn out, and when they break they go down the length of it, which is far more serious than the circle break.
So you're working on getting that application in now?
It'll be submitted tomorrow.
By tomorrow?
Yep. So I've already got everything done on it. We've got all the documentation we needed. I think it's the engineer's estimate on it, I think is
They're working on that. Which
way
one?
high. I think they were at like a little over 6.5 million to do all that work. It was roughly 14,000 linear feet. So you're talking, a little over 2 miles, 2.5 miles of pipe. But that's that's the main artery of old pipe that we have left.
Right, that's the original.
Yeah. So, and that's the original line. So I mean, if we get that done, and then the other projects that you guys wanted updates on are the 1,000,000 square foot that we've been in the process of working on, and we've paid a lot of money towards engineering to get everything designed to make that possible. If we get the upgrades that need to be done to do that project, we would really have a good portion of the town up to ductile iron pipe at that point. There's just a lot of the little legs. I know one that you'd probably prefer to get done sooner rather than later is
You working with Gina on that?
yes.
The SRF funding?
Yep. So we've been working for the last couple of weeks, trying to pull together everything we need to. We've pretty much completed everything today. I sent some pictures of some of the breaks we had to put in with the application. So we were just trying to figure out, how many houses, how many connections, everything that's involved.
So you got pictures of all, and that's gonna be sent in?
Yeah.
Of the breaks?
Yep. So, and the tuberculation inside the pipe, which reduces your flows and your ability to fight fires, and it also increases your makes you more inefficient because you're trying to pump against all that friction loss. So you go to a bigger lined pipe with no tuberculation, and now your pumping is easier, it's more efficient. Increased fire flows everywhere, and reliability. It would also loop that Church Street section on Northwest Main. Because right now, anything happens on Church Street, you're dead in the water because you have no way to. And we did have a break up there back a few years ago. That it shuts everything. Everything from Booster up this way gets basically lost. So from where the booster station is and where the cemetery is on West Street. So essentially, everything here is without water.
Yeah. If you lose this.
Yep. So getting that loop completed, which I've had it on my list for the last few years. We did that one section of 750 feet. We need to go another 550 feet.
You did this stretch,
Tie
right?
that in there.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So we just need that little space in between, but that's AC pipe leading up to it,
This
so,
one?
yeah, you'd wanna replace that. I mean, you're
Yeah.
doing all this project, you wanna get that little
Yeah.
piece.
That's AC up in that area?
Yeah.
That
Oh, really?
section right there, yeah.
So we gotta go right back all the way.
Yeah, so we eliminate that portion. Webster Street's already ductile, so you're fine there, and the rest of Southwest is ductile. Churchill's ductile. So, like I said, if we can get that main artery done, and then the northeast Main Street, the Gilboa Street, and the North Street from Main down to the bridge here, that would be kind of the main artery of the entire town done, and you'd have your what is that, northwest portion of town covered for, or northeast portion of town covered for.
When is that money gonna be available? Any idea, or who knows?
For the SRF,
Yeah.
all that stuff would go through the process, and we would know probably in the fall.
Oh,
No, it'd probably be spring for this one. Springtime, whether or not.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's,
We'd get it, but we would need to get an article on the town meeting floor for it. The same with the that first grant that I told you about for the sewer system asset management plan. We would have to put an article on the town meeting to fund the entire thing for the 125, 128, whatever it was. You'd have to fund the whole thing with the stipulation that the borrowing would be whatever our portion was, less, the entire amount less whatever the grant money is. So, the article's gonna look worse than it is, because it's gonna say the
Right, yeah.
120 something, but we would only be responsible.
because we have to put the article in for the whole amount.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just the way they always run those programs. And that'd be the same for the water main, so. If it came down to it and there weren't grant opportunities, I would say I probably wouldn't move forward with the entire project at one time. I mean, it's probably still a good idea to do it, because we know it needs to be done, but, I mean, it's a lot of money, so we would have to look at what the
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I think,
effect of it is.
like, Glen Street, 'cause we've had a lot of breaks.
Yeah,
Most of the breaks.
Yeah,
came
that's
in
what
this
most of
stretch,
the
right?
bricks were right
well,
in
we
there.
had,
Oh, no, there was a few before that.
we had two here,
Yeah,
we had two here.
right.
Yeah, one was on this side, one was on this side. Then we had,
We had one at Percy's.
yeah,
There's
where's,
one-
yeah.
Well, I'm just,
yeah, this is Guy's here.
you, yeah,
Yeah, so right here, that was a good one.
this
Uh,
one, I remember
that
that one.
one right there.
We had
That-
about,
That one drained the Church Street tank. That
Yeah.
one was a big problem.
we had about 6 of them on that, right?
Yeah, one there. We had one at Tapley's. Tapley's, Percy, and Booster were all on the same day.
Yeah,
So we had
that's
those
right,
three
yeah.
that were all on the same day.
Yeah.
And then, what's the name? I forget the name of the person that, right there on the corner that we, Peterson, what's her name? They got the big brown house up just after Tapley's. Kind of on that little sweeping bend.
Yeah, there was,
I keep wanting to say Peterson. Was it Peterson?
yeah, we had to go back and fix the cover or something, right?
Yeah, because it was right where the tires hit.
Mhm.
Yes, and then we had two on that leg down, like I said, down.
Yeah, I remember in the gully, there was one down in the
Southwest,
gully
we
too.
had two here.
Right. But
I
thought
think there
this
was
stretch-
2 down in the gully, wasn't it? Just
There was, yeah,
Yeah.
not far apart, just
Yeah,
like
I
the
was
ones
gonna
on
say.
Southwest, they were only 25 feet apart.
Hmm.
But we had that one that was on, in the gully, at the same time we had one on West Street. We had those two, and those cost a fortune to get fixed, because we didn't have the staff to do it at that point.
All right, so you're working on a grant there. Now, what about the rest of it down here?
So down here, there's one section of land, I think, that's still slowing things right now, but I think they're pretty close to a resolution on that. I would expect that to start moving quickly. I think they were working simultaneously with get the land issue squared away, starting like the MEPA review and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's those projects. What other projects? I think that's it for the big projects right now.
Okay.
That's it. That's not enough.
Yeah, right.
All right. So you want to go through the water and sewer reports, or do you want to just read them, or how do you want to do those? If you guys want to skim through them, if there's any questions.
No, I would just read through them and,
I mean, one key
how much
thing,
rain do we get today? 3.5 inches?
3.16 inches.
That's all? 3.1.
That's a lot for the short period it came down.
Well, the res came up almost 6 inches.
Well, yeah, your watershed is
Yeah,
twice the size of
unreal.
that. So one of the key points that I did want to point out for July was on the water system, we, well, first, with all that rain and stuff, the primary field, we shut it down because the water level was up so high in the well field. So we had shut that down for a few weeks, but right near the end of when all that was flooded, we flushed all the wells down there. So that has been done, rehabbing all those wells down there.
Did that work out good?
Yep. Yeah, and that was perfect because with all the, you want the water as high as you can
Right, yeah.
to make it flush well. So
Good.
so that worked out well for us. Plus, water was good. People weren't using a lot. Normally that time of year people are draining the system a lot, so we kind of need the capacity. So we were able to shut that well field down for a while because people weren't watering lawns or washing cars as much with all the rain we had. I guess those were the key things. We got the parts in to finish the rehab of the filter. It's been planned for a while, but with COVID and everything was behind schedule.
Yeah.
You
So
think
that
you'll
is-
have to call in Helgerson's for Gilboa Street again?
No, I think that
It'll
that
straighten
short
up.
period will straighten up
Yeah.
quick. When we had to call Helgerson in for Gilboa
Mm.
it was like a week straight of just nonstop.
Yeah.
And it just, on top of a week straight of all the storms, it was the res letting everything out at once because they didn't prepare ahead
Yeah,
of
they
time.
didn't lower it
They
slow.
should have started 2 weeks
I don't
before.
think they prepared for this one either.
Oh, I highly doubt it. This wasn't anticipated.
No,
Nobody
they
expected
didn't,
this to
no.
come in as hard as it did.
No.
The water was high to begin with.
Yeah.
You were gonna swim from your living room pretty soon.
Yeah, it was at least
Put a
4 inches
diveboard
higher
off your
than,
deck.
it was at least 4 inches higher than normal. So today it went up another 5 or 6.
Wow.
We would ride the jet ski right up to the deck.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to wait. Yeah. Most of my dock is underwater again.
Um,
But
Yeah, so I mean, water-wise, normally we don't meet our river flow for July and August. We definitely made July, that was no problem. I would say this probably helped. Peter will get a reading tomorrow.
nature floats this month too, I would imagine.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll get us through this month and we'll finally have a year that we.
And we got another storm coming up this weekend?
Monday.
Monday.
All right, well, that's all I got.
I'm good, I don't have any.
How's that?
Yep. So I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 6:10.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.